Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you for
Good
tuning in
morning.
to our ASEAN SCG SSE Dialogue Series 2, 2024 today. My name is Hirza. I'm the coordinator for this dialogue series, and I'll also be the MC for today. For those who are new with this dialogue series, just a bit of introduction to uh, what this dialogue series is all about. So basically, in the build-up to the ASEAN SCGHSE Summit 2025, a monthly dialogue series is launched to provide a platform um, for development partners and stakeholders from ASEAN countries to discuss relevant themes and topics related to the SDGs in the ASEAN region. So for this initiative, we are collaborating with the Asian Solidarity Economic Council or ASEC. Thank you so much. And also thank you to Dr. Victor Karunan as well for being our resource person. So basically, these monthly dialogues are held every last Wednesday of the month. A key expert on SDG topics and themes are invited to make a presentation at these dialogues. And there will be a total of 5 dialogues starting from July until November 2024. For the first dialogue last month, we had Dr. Victor Karunan as the speaker. So for today's dialogue, we have invited 2 speakers, which will be introduced by our moderator, Dr. Lim Wee Kiang. And there will be another 3 upcoming dialogues focusing on economy, environment, and also the main theme of SDGs, which is leaving no one behind. So last week, we saw the progress, challenges, and moving forward of SDGs in ASEAN. Today, we will learn about the social solidarity economy. So I hope we will take the opportunity given today and use it to benefit the communities. Now, I shall pass to Dr. Lin to start the dialogue for today. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Hisra. Good morning to everyone, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to warmly welcome you to our webinar on SDGs and social progress and challenges in the social solidarity economy. As a background, especially for those who are new, I would just like to uh, uh, introduced the term social solidarity economy, which started to be used in the late 1990s. The first meeting of what would become RIPES network took place in Lima, Peru in 1997. The participants from more than 30 countries agreed that there needed to be a strong integration between the more traditional and social economy structures and the alternative approaches of solidarity economy practices and communities. The notion of solidarity economy has gained popularity in the early 2000s. In 2018, at the 5th conference, RIPES adopted the global vision of SSE as an alternative to capitalism and other state-dominated economic systems. SSE exists in different sectors of the economy, in production, consumption, distribution, trade, and governance. It is an ethical and value-based approach to economic development and prioritizes the welfare of people and planet over profits and blind growth. And today we have with us distinguished experts from Thailand and the Philippines. They are Mr. Akanut Wantanasombot, Ms. Punsap, Dr. Ben Quinones from Philippines. Our first speaker is Mr. Akanut Wantanasombot. He heads the Innovation for Social Solidarity and Inclusive Economy in Asia, IC. It is a research group at the Institute of Asian Studies, Chulalongkorn University. Recently, he has been focusing on the impact of digital transformation, including the platform economy. He serves as Thailand's national consultant on strengthening the Social and Solidarity Economy in Asia, which is a project of the International Labour Organization, ILO. He will share with us for 10 minutes about his thoughts, and after that, we will invite Ms. Poonsap to comment on his presentation on his presentation. So Ms. Poonsap will have 10 minutes. So we will now like to invite Mr. Akanud. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Lin, and good morning, everyone here. My name is Akanud. Right now I am in Bangkok, Thailand. I am a researcher at the Institute of Asian Studies. I'm pleased to be here. Thank you for having me here. And today I'm going to share some of my activities about social and solidarity economy, and I would like to share some thought on how social and solidarity economy is linked to SDG goals. So I'd like to start with my own project. The way that I found the concept of social solidarity economy was emerged actually from my research. As Dr. Lin mentioned, I focus on the impact of platform economy, especially from the labor perspective. And I found that, well, though platform economy creates a lot of opportunity, but it's also brought some kind of problems, right? So during the COVID-19, I studied the working condition of the workers in platform, food delivery and ride-hailing platforms. And I found that the corporate tend to exploit workers more and more. And it's actually not affect only workers themselves, but it's also affect us as a consumer, right? So I had an idea that, well, probably we can create something that fair for every stakeholders in the ecosystem, right? So I searching for the concept that I could use in my initiatives, and I found that, well, social and solidarity economy fit very well on the objective of the project that I would like to work on. And later I just found that, well, I'm not alone. There are lots of people that try to implement this concept. And I found ASEC, and I found that actually Pi Poonsap, which we know each other for a long time, was part of this initiative. So I contacted ASEC and Pi Poonsap so that I become part of this network. So I started with using the concept of social and solidarity economy for a ride-hailing and food delivery. So I and my students built an application aimed for community to own. I mean, the consumers, the workers, and the restaurants, they own the platform themselves. So they work together, they operate, and they make a decision, right? So this is the first project that I use the concept social and solidarity economy to implement in this project. But later on, I found that, well, this concept was quite fit to my and others' interests in terms of fairness, social justice, So together with few friends in the university, including the Chulalongkorn Co-op Store, we set up a group, which is the students' activities group. We call it Social and Solidarity Economy Study Center. It is an informal gathering of students inside Chula. And we have many activities, including the SSE mini course, where we discuss about the concept of social and solidarity economy in Thai context. We also explore, we have people come to the class and share their experience. We also visited some of them that share the same belief, same minded. So this is the group of students, and we have several students come from several faculties that still working on these groups. Besides that, I have a research group, as Dr. Lin mentioned. It's called ISSI, Innovation for Social Solidarity and Inclusive Economy in Asia. So this research group focus both research and action research, the impact of technology, especially social impact, right? So we create tools, digital tools for community to use it and to own it by themselves. So there are several projects that we are working on right now, and the core of the research group was that how to apply the values and principle of social and solidarity using digital technology, digital innovation as tools in order to achieve the SDG goals. So I find that actually SSE and SDG goals, though come from a different concept. For me, SDGs is more goals oriented, and the SSE is more on process oriented activity, right? But it's like two sides of the coin, so it has to go together. Okay. Besides that, I also work for a project supported by the ILO to study the landscape of social and solidarity economy in Thailand. And from these studies, I kind of mapping the existing economic activities and business entities. And I found that actually we have many business entities and business activities that really share the value and principles with the SSE. And from the case studies that we interview, we found that most of them, though they don't really have the SDG goals in their mind at the beginning, but what they did and what they are doing was really deliver the goals, the SDG goals, and not only one or two goals, but many of them, right? So I found that, well, through the SSE value and concepts, those entities, business entities, at the end deliver some SDG goals, and it's come by products. So it's not the first intention. They didn't really think about the goals at the beginning. They think about the fairness. They think about how they're gonna survive, how they're gonna get together, how they're gonna run it together. But at the end, they can be a very important groups of people that help achieve the SDG goals. And besides that, we and my friends, faculties from different university get together. You know, friends always people that have same mind, right? So we discuss on how social and solidarity economy was really important concept that we can consider as a tools, as a process that we can achieve the SDG goals. And we came with the idea that, well, we people in academic can get together and form, right now it's an informal network. We call it Thailand Social and Solidarity Economy Consortiums, which consists of faculties from 4 universities: Juฬา Thammasat, Mahidol, and Srinakharin Virod University. We share resources, we share knowledge. We think that's the spirit of solidarity economy, right? So we get together and create events, and we have an objectives of to promote and push the social and solidarity economy. Okay. I think it is very important for people that really believe in values and principle of social solidarity economy and would like to promote it to capture the SDGs moment. You know, these days, everyone talking about SDGs in locally, regionally, and globally, right? So it is very important to capture this moment, but please bear in mind that, well, social solidarity economy has its own inherent values. So it is not just about seizing the moments of the SDG, but it's actually the way we can build the economy that, you know, create justice and sustainability in the long term. So for me, it is very important to having SSE as a tools in order to deliver the SDG goals. As I mentioned, I believe that, well, it's like two sides of the coin. Why SSE was process oriented, the SDG is the goals oriented. It has to go together. So that's the experience from my side.
Right. Thank you so much, Mr. Akanut, for your sharing about all your activities in Thailand and contributions you're making. As a commentator to Mr. Akanut's presentation, we are inviting Ms. Punsap Swanwong Talapan to give her comments and feedback on the presentation that has been made. Ms. Punsap is a board member of the HomeNet Thailand Association. It is a membership-based organization of around 5,000 home-based workers. She's also the director of the Foundation for Labor and Employment Promotion, which is an organization that advocates for the rights and well-being of informal economy workers. Ms. Punsap, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Dr. Lin. So you would like me to comment what Dr. Akanat discussed earlier?
Yes. Yes.
I have to talk about my experience briefly. In terms of the social solidarity economy, I know it since 1993, which is the first, and maybe as I know it's in 1993, and there is a big a big conference in the Philippines. So I learned more in terms of what does it mean by SSE, and for us, the SSE is like the way that can support the working poor and can support the society to be just and sustainable. So from our experience, from HomeNet Thailand experience, we try to organize in 1993, 1995, I organized the women weaver groups, and in 2015, I came back again and tried to organize HomeNet Thailand brand. HomeNet Thailand brand is also consists of home-based worker, more women home-based workers are working with us. So when Akanat said that in terms of his presentation, you can see that from my point of view, as I am a practitioner, I understand that concept of thinking, the thought, and practicing is different. To practice is not easy. The thought is very important. The thinking is very important, but how to implement or how to apply this into practice is take times. It take a lot of effort. So that's why when we talk about SDG, even though we start in 2015 and we want to achieve in 2030, this is more than halfway that we came to this point, and we will see that even in SDGs, we can say that it leads only some points and in some places. So it's really important that we need to practice, we need to work more and more on this, and people have to understand more and more in terms of what does it mean by SDG and what does it mean by Sustainable Development Goal or SDG. So this is very important, and I think that what Akhenaten did is very, very interesting. That people need to learn more, people need to understand more, and people need to support more on SDG and SSE, because especially for the young generation, nowadays, I can say that not only the climate change impact, but in terms of the economic geographic also changed. The technology are changed. Like in Thailand, you know that very cheap commodity from China dump into our society. How that the working poor can survive without any support. So what I'm thinking that what Akhenaten did is very important, and try to educate more people to understand that why SSE is very important, how to make use of SSE, and it will be, how to say, it will be improved a lot if we integrate or if we apply this knowledge of SSE in our practice, not only in the university, but at the government level, because this is a big issue. This is the way that people will survive within this turbulent situation. So what I'm thinking is that how can the government support? And for this forum, I really appreciate, that because we want to advocate for the ASEAN government. So in terms of the ASEAN government, they have to understand this and apply this in their development plan. So I think this is very important, that from my experience working on SSE, from promoting HomeNet Thailand brand and Home Care Thailand and others activity, we try to apply the SSE concept in our work. It takes time and use a lot of effort, use a lot of resources, especially the budget. So the government need to support. And at the same time, in terms of what we said, that we talk about people and planet over profit. To do this is not easy. This needs commitment. So we should try to promote this. And for me, in terms of changing, in terms of the technologies, technology change a lot, and it changed the way of life of the people, like the people in Thailand, especially for the working poor, to have the smartphone is one level, but to make use of the smartphone is another level. So they need support, they need training. So who will provide this within time? The government. So for me, I think that this is very important that we need to understand the concept of SSE, and at the same time, we need to know about the experiences, the way that Akanat did to educate and try to network with other young generation to know more in terms of SSE is very good, because we rely on young generation, no? For the future, young generation will give a big impact to make change. So what I like to say that this is very important, and it should be like it should be adopt or apply this in other countries, because only the working poor, like when he said that linking between motorcycle taxi driver, small entrepreneurs and consumer come together, this take time, take lots of effort. So from my point of view, that I think we should advocate the ASEAN government. We can start from our regional to not only CSO, not only university person, not only academia. We should include politicians. We should include that the government office to understand and try to find a way to implicate or to apply the SSE in in developing, achieving the SDG goals. We still have time, but we need seriously working from all stakeholders. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Ms. Punsap. What you say is really very true. You know, we really need to raise awareness and provide education for the whole population regarding the urgency of us going into SSE, especially in the context of the SDGs. And as what we are doing in Malaysia under the All Parties Parliamentary Group, we are working with the MPs to implement SDGs from the ground. And we incorporate all these SSE elements as well. So yes, what you say is correct. Everybody needs to be involved, all the ASEAN countries and beyond. And we really need to present our case at this ASEAN meeting as well. Is Dr. Benjamin around?
Yes, Dr. Lin, I'm here.
Oh, good. We are missing you. I'd like to introduce Dr. Benjamin Quinanes Jr. from the Philippines. He is the co-founder. Actually, we have the person here, the co-founder of ASEC. He co-founded ASEC in 2007. It is the Asian hub for enhancing the responsibilities of stakeholders in co-creating a compassionate solidarity economy, and it brings together 18 national and continental networks in 21 countries of Asia. He is now a board member of the Organization Development of Leaf Grain International Incorporated, a social enterprise engaged in developing an integrated value chain of organic farm produce in the Philippines. He's a board member of the Aurora Bank. Dr. Benjamin is also the regional consultant for the ILO SSE project in Asia, Phase 2. So we're looking forward to your presentation, Dr. Benjamin. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Lin. Can we have the PowerPoint presentation, my PowerPoint presentation? Okay, so the title of my presentation, Accelerating Progress Towards the SDGs through the Social Solidarity Economy. Next slide, please. So the Secretary General of the United Nations Antonio Guterres once reported in the UN General Assembly. He said, had the paradigm shift envisioned by the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development been fully embraced, the world would have been better prepared to face this crisis. Regrettably, the SDGs were already off track even before COVID-19 emerged. This was 2 years after the COVID-19 onset of COVID-19 in 2019. The paradigm shift that Antonio Guterres was referring to was, the shift towards what is called the alternative, the paradigm, which enable countries to reduce poverty and achieve, the SDGs. Next slide, please. So, if you look at the achievement of SDGs by ASEAN member states as of 2023, you will note that the ranking of the member states, the 10 member states of ASEAN, all of which are scored above 50, meaning to say, as of 2023, all of the ASEAN member countries have achieved at least 60% of the total SDGs. The highest score is 74.67 by Thailand. The global rank of Thailand is number 45. Of course, above the rank of 45, the first 10 are occupied by Scandinavian countries and European countries. The highest is a Scandinavian country, I think Finland, with 86, a score of 86 is number 1. So the next is Vietnam, ranked number 54. So from 45 to 54, very big difference. 73.32 is the score. And then the third is Singapore in terms of ASEAN member states. The ranking is 65, 71.41 is the score. And then Indonesia, 78, 69.43 score. And then the next is Malaysia at 79, ranking 79 with a score of 69.32. And then the Philippines is next. Ranking is 92, a big jump down. Score is 67.47. Then Brunei, 96, ranking 96 with score of 67.04. Cambodia, 104, ranking score of 64.9. Laos, 119, score of 62.98. And Myanmar, 120 at 62.82. Now, these rankings is the overall score on all these SDGs. And it measures the overall score, measures the total progress towards achieving all 17 SDGs. The score can be interpreted as a percentage of SDG achievement. A score of 100 indicates that all SDGs have been achieved. So at least, by the middle of, by 2025, hopefully, these scores will move up. And let's see if the rankings, will move up also, or maybe the other countries will be faster in achieving the SDGs. But even with these scores, we don't know whether the upward movement of achievement of SDGs would be sticky upward. But it seems that the UN General Assembly sees, some slowing down right after the COVID-19 pandemic. And so, owing to this, let's go to the next slide. So, the United Nations Interagency on Task Force on Social Economy, or UNTFSSE, as early as 2013 during its formation, already called on the international development community to recognize the role of social economy in the paradigm shift that was mentioned by the Secretary General of the UN. In other words, the UN agencies, particularly ILO, already recognized, that a paradigm shift can be achieved through social solidarity economy. Now, in the years from 2015 to 2022, a number of initiatives were made by civil society organizations, researchers, government agencies, and ECC practitioners to document the link between ECC and SDG. Yeah? So, for example, in ASEC, we have been documenting since 2015 and reporting to ASEAN until this year about the linkage between ECC and SDG. And of course, one big breakthrough that we had was in January 2024 when we had this international conference on building inclusive communities organized by MySDG and APPGM of Malaysia. And fortunately, it made an impact upon the decision makers of Malaysia, the parliamentarians, that really localizing SDGs can be done through the social society economy. Then we have also UN on READS, this Research Institute on Social Development. COPAC is the Committee on Promotion of Cooperatives. ICS, the International Council of Cooperatives Alliance, International Cooperative Alliance, and UN Task Force, of course, and then World Economic Forum. They have done their studies on this. Now, in July 2018, the UN High-Level Political Forum on Sustainable Development called for the localization of the SDGs, even the UN High-Level Political Forum, because what happens is that the statistics of the government does not capture, the informal economy. The informal economy, where a lot of self-help groups and associations and so forth are operating, they do not appear in the official statistics of governments. And so by proclaiming this localization of SDGs this year, or starting last year, the UN has initiated the development of statistics on SSE. Yeah? So hopefully this statistical framework can be used within the next few years so that more statistics on the accomplishment, achievement of SDGs can be called out, from the informal sector. And then in April 2023, the UN General Assembly passed resolution calling on all member states of the UN to promote SSE for sustainable development goals. So we have this framework, the global framework that is pushing, for social development goals and recognizing SSE linkage with SDG as a good way by which the SDGs can be achieved. Next slide, please. Now, who are the stakeholders or actors of SSE? Again, the UN General Assembly identified the actors of stakeholders of SSE to include the cooperatives, the associations, mutual societies, foundations, social enterprises, self-groups, and other entities. Now, you will note that cooperatives, associations, mutual societies, self-help groups, these are membership-based organizations. Yeah? And you will note in the informal economy, there are several groups there, but they are not registered. For example, I was having a meeting with Quezon City local government yesterday, and they were telling me, the groups at the community level, they form themselves, they give themselves a name, and then they have their own, logo and so forth, but they are not registered. Yeah. So this is the thing, and they do not appear even in the statistics of the local government. Yeah. So, but they are doing, they employ people, they create jobs, they generate income, they are participating in combating poverty, providing social protection to their members, and so forth. Yeah. So now, in other words, all these type of organizations are recognized as possible stakeholders of SSE, but they have a qualifying statement. They said that those organizations, any of these organizations, can be actor of SSE when they operate in accordance with the values and principles of SSE. Okay, so there is a qualifying statement there, because in SSE, there is always a social mission where profits or the surplus generated by the organizations are committed in order to support the social mission. It could be poverty alleviation, it could be equity, it could be environmental conservation, or any of the SDGs, achievement of the SDGs. Next slide, please. So, how do the SSE contribute to SDGs? Now, these statistics here or findings here were developed or provided by the UN Task Force on Social Economy in their report that is indicated there. You can access this report by clicking on the link up there. Now, the first is SDG 1 and 2, end poverty and hunger. SSE entities catalyze social transformation by strengthening the productive capacities of vulnerable and marginalized groups and producing goods and services accessible to them, thus contributing to employment, income generation, and people's access to services. Like yesterday, I was talking to officers of the Cooperative Development Authority. They said they have their own cooperative in that government agency. And when they need tuition fees for their children, they can borrow. When they need to eat, they can go to the cooperative canteen. When they need some social protection, they can go to the cooperative. So in other words, they're saying, we patronize our cooperative and we create, a system, an ecosystem where we don't have to go anywhere for the basic needs that we have. If we want housing, we can borrow from the cooperative. So this is the ecosystem created by people themselves, bringing together the resources. In other words, they're able to address, their needs, and they can end hunger and poverty in that way. Number 2, health and education for all. SDGs number 4. Provision of service related to health care, education, and training. Now, the care community and care economy was debated upon by UN only last month. So care economy is very important, and SDG number 4 is one of those things that this should be 3 and 4. SDGs 3 and 4. And then SDGs 5 and 10 towards equality through jobs creation, improve access to economic and social services. Now, SSE is well placed in tackling multiple forms of horizontal inequality, mainly inequality associated with ethnicity, race, religion, gender, and age. Vertical inequality is related to income and wealth. Okay, next slide, please. And then SDGs 8 and 9 on decent work, innovation, and sustainable growth, addressing major challenges facing countries around the world, namely inability to absorb the supply of labor and substandard forms of employment characterized by limited pay, job security, social benefits, as well as low job satisfaction. This means to say that the public sector and the private sector is not able to employ everybody. There is a limit of the labor absorptive capacity of the government and the private for-profit sector. So the social economy sector is an alternative by which low income or people with no jobs can hope to have employment or become entrepreneurs. Sustainable cities and its settlements, SDGs 6 and 11, the cooperative, social enterprise, community-based organizations have considerable potential for building sustainable cities and settlements, ensuring more security through social housing, waste collection, recycling, care services, cultural activities, and community-supported agriculture. All of these activities you can find, in many countries. Next slide, please. Green and fair transition. This is achieved through transforming consumption production patterns, promoting sustainable energy, improving human institutional capacity for climate change. Environmental protection is also one of the areas where SSE entities are contributing. Life above ground and below water, contributions of SSE entities to harnessing the potentiality Potentially positive connections between socials and natural systems are evident in agroecology, agroforestry, sustainable fishing, sustainable tourism, and community forestry. All of these initiatives have been documented by ASEC, especially agroforestry, sustainable tourism, agroecology, agroforestry. Inclusive and democratic institutions, 16 and 17, core ESG values and practice directly related to democratic governance manifest themselves at different levels. So first level is micro and meso level, meaning to say the groups, organizations, enterprises, and communities, they adopt democratic and participatory means of deliberation and decision making. At the macro level, this is at this public administration, the public sector, in terms of the policy and public programs that support ESG. Next slide, please. So today, the ASEAN ESG Linkage Roadmap 2025-2030. Today, we are discussing, merely as a joint initiative of APPGM, SDGs, ASEC, and Bayan family of foundations. APPGM includes my SDG. But tomorrow, we're hoping that this initiative will become a movement involving not only these three organizations, but ASEAN member states, private companies with social mission or CSR, civil society organizations, and international development agencies. So this is where we are heading, and this seminar is meant to build up, so that we can reach, this objective of developing this initiative into a movement involving the governments, private sector, civil society organizations. Thank you very much. Back to you, Dr. Lin.
Right. Thank you, Dr. Benjamin, for a very comprehensive and highly educational presentation, especially regarding the linkage between the SSEs and the SDGs. They are an integral part of each other. I think this is very informational for our participants. I think we need to have one more slot for Professor Carlos Sagun for him to inform us about the SE Roadmap Conference. Dr. Carlo, Professor Carlo.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Dr. Ben, good afternoon. Good afternoon to everyone in the room. I am Professor Carlos Sagun. I'm from Manila, Philippines. I'm serving as the Vice President of Bayan Family of Foundations, and I'm also a professor in Ateneo de Manila University, particularly for its social entrepreneurship graduate program in the Graduate School of Business. So probably to dovetail on what Dr. Quiñones presented, I'll be presenting a short segment relative to the Philippines 2024 SE Roadmap Council Conference, which will happen in November. So in the context of the Philippines, there's no legal definition or legal recognition yet of social enterprises. But for everyone's benefit, back in 2021, social enterprise sector actors took it upon themselves to organize throughout the entire country for the purpose of, number one, increasing the awareness for social enterprises among the general Filipino public. Number two, to orchestrate enablers of the sectors to commit to the nationwide plan that we're moving forward. And the last but not the least, to develop social enterprises in terms of asset size, which is a business indicator, and in terms of their social impact, in particular, in delivering the sustainable development goals. So probably that's just a general context of the short presentation that I will share with you this afternoon. So let me share a couple of slides with you. So basically, the presentation is about the 2024 Philippine Social Enterprise Roadmap Conference. And the subtitle here is for the conference is Harmonizing Social Enterprise and Social and Solidarity Economy Initiatives for ASEAN's Contribution to the SDGs. right? So for context, although the SE roadmap in the Philippines has the explicit objective of developing social enterprises, the movers of this nationwide plan deemed it important to mobilize various sectors, right? And these sectors are your cooperatives, your NGOs and foundations, your academic institutions, your usual MSMEs and people's associations, and even the corporations, the conglomerates that would have a magnitude of resources that can be contributed towards furthering social enterprise development initiatives. And with those sectors lined up, you can see that although the explicit objective of the plan is to develop social enterprises, it is critical for us in the Philippine movement to actually mobilize social and solidarity economy actors into the fold, right? So that's why we deemed it important for the subtitle to be pushed in this particular conference, harmonizing SE and SSE initiatives for ASEAN's contribution to the SDGs. Now, just some preliminary considerations for this 2024 Philippine SE Roadmap Conference. So basically, in the context of the roadmap that we're implementing here in the Philippines, there's a governance system called the SE Roadmap Council. So it's actually organized at the national level and at the subsector level. So I mentioned to you a while ago that there are cooperatives, NGOs, etc., etc. The council is organized as such. And in the area level, in the northern part of the country, in the south, in the middle part of the country, in the southern part of the country, in a nutshell. So all major areas are also represented. And in June 5th, the National Council approved the conference themes. The first one is for the local SE roadmap subsector actors to actually discuss their 2024 milestones and how they intend to set up for 2025. And then, of course, there's the theme of the government programs discussing or communicating their programs relevant for social enterprises. And this one is interesting because the actors of the council actually approved the inclusion of the social and solidarity economy as a critical theme of the conference. And of course, international partnerships and collaborations. Now, after this June 5th National Council meeting where the themes were approved, Dr. Ben and I, as Philippine delegates, actually attended the ILO Social and Solidarity Economy Conference in Bangkok. With the objective, one of our objectives, of course, is to orchestrate the inclusion of SSE actors, regional SSE actors at that, in the conference this coming November in the Philippines. So just some salient points of what were discussed. Of course, definitely the outcomes that we're all going for would be the ASEAN region's contribution to the SDGs by 2030. And for us to deliver those outcomes, some outputs were lined up, right? And these are ASEAN region-wide efforts. There would be ASEAN level efforts at the region, and at the country level, there would be efforts as well. So for example, in the Philippines, we would have our own efforts in the context of our country. And then within the context of the country level efforts would be localization efforts. So for example, in the Philippines, there would be numerous local government units and various actors. So all their efforts would be contributing to the country level efforts. And those efforts are a bit abstract at this point, right? But to put some level of concretization, some tangible outputs as regards all those efforts, we're trying to push for some concrete outputs to be collectively delivered, right, by regional, country level, and the local actors. These would be access to financing, knowledge management, capacity building, and access to markets and impact assessment, as Dr. Ben had discussed a while ago. Now, for us to be able to deliver these outputs, we would need to deliver some transformational processes as well. And these were segmented into the implementation proper activities. So if you would look at this, Malaysia is actually hosting the 2025 ASEAN. So there will be ASEAN level activities or events hosted by Malaysia next year. And then Philippines in 2026 and onwards, 2027 onwards, by different ASEAN host countries. Now, to prepare for the implementation proper, some pre-implementation events or activities were identified. And this is where the 2024 Philippine SE Roadmap Council Conference was identified as a preliminary activity to prepare the stakeholders for the implementation proper, right, in starting 2025. And there would also be various activities such as this one, whether they be online or on-site in different country levels. And for the inputs that should be transformed such that these can be turned into outputs, you have your critical people in networks. ASEC, APPGM are all, of course, part of these networks as regional actors. And then there would be your country-level contributors such as our foundation, Bayan Family of Foundations, and the actors of our local roadmap. ILO and UN agencies were also identified as critical actors in this region-wide initiative, right? And of course, funding requirements would be important for us to be able to realize all these initiatives. So now the question is, how can the Philippine SE Roadmap Council lend the established SE Roadmap system for the effective adoption and democratization of SSE, initially in the Philippines and hopefully later on for a more systematic adoption at different country levels all over the ASEAN region. Now, just an overview of the conference design, right? So therefore, the objectives of this November's conference are fourfold. The first one is actually to communicate the state of the Philippine SE roadmap. And in doing so, we hope to highlight how the Philippine SE roadmap governance system and its programs can readily be utilized to democratize SSE initiatives, right? And then the third one is to actually provide a platform for a mutual learning exchange between ASEAN movers to utilize SE and SSE modalities to fast-track the region's contribution to the SDGs. And last but not the least is to identify strategic collaboration points towards Malaysia's 2025 hosting of ASEAN, Philippines 2025 SE Roadmap Conference, and Philippines' own 2026 hosting of ASEAN, right? So with regard to the venue, the format, and the participants, right? The venue will be, the on-site activities will be held in Quezon City, Philippines, in Seda Vertis North Hotel, right? And the format will be hybrid. There will be on-site participants and online streaming will make the conference available for both Philippine and ASEAN stakeholders, right? And the target participants, there will be 400 on-site and unlimited online, but necessarily Philippine stakeholders for the SE Roadmap Council and SAE and SSE sector movers. Of course, ASEAN and Hong Kong plus Japan, SSE actor movers are going to participate, and leaders of the relevant Philippine government agencies, and we hope to invite the regional impact investors as well. And there would be various booth locators on site in the conference venue. Just an outline of the conference sessions for everyone's benefit, right? So the first day will be held on November 13. So the conference is actually from November 13, that's a Wednesday, up to November 15, Friday. So it's a 3-day conference, right? So in the first day, we will have some intro segments, basically welcoming of the co-organizers, including, of course, our organization, Bayan Family of Foundations, Asian Solidarity Economy Council, and the All-Party Parliamentary Group Malaysia for SDGs. Of course, the contextualization of the Philippines SE roadmap, such that we can communicate what it's really about and all the details pertinent to it. The SE Roadmap Council will actually present the state of the different subsectors of the national plan. And then it will transition to advancing contextualization of how SE and SSE initiatives can actually advance the Sustainable Development Goals. So it was actually partially discussed already by Dr. Ben a while ago. So Catalyst 2030 will be presenting how social enterprises can actually push for the SDGs, and ASEC together with APPGM, UNESCAP, and ILO will be contextualizing how this particular conference is relevant to prepare the stakeholders for regional efforts starting 2025. So the ones in boxes are actually the ones where ASEC and APPGM will be directly involved. So for the afternoon, it's actually about highlighting the initiatives of the Philippine SE Roadmap actors, and they will be discussing how these programs are actually relevant to pushing forward the social and solidarity economy. I won't be discussing them one by one in the interest of time, but I'd like to highlight the presentation of the NGO subsector, wherein the ASEC, the Asian Solidarity Economy Council, will be sharing how they are strengthening SSE initiatives in Quezon City. So to have a regional flavor in this particular SSE initiative in the Philippines, Dr. Eri of ASEC will be acting as a regional discussant. And then for day 2, we'll have the role of government discussed. There would be various Philippine cases at the city level, the region level, and the municipality level. And then there would be a roundtable discussion involving them. Again, at the ASEAN level, APPGM will be discussing the role of parliamentarians in multi-stakeholder initiatives together with government in the success of SE and SSE in Malaysia. And then, of course, some Asian SSE programs through ILOs, various researches, and Vietnam's model of the collective economy. And then for the afternoon, various topics will be discussed in breakout rooms: people with disabilities, care economy, impact investing, women and youth, climate change, peace, health, and there will be a separate room allotted for networking purposes. Then day 3, the concluding day, it'll already be about various strategic collaboration points and coming up with such action programs, right? So there will be a workshop at the Philippine level, at the ASEAN level, and of course, a discussion session for impact investors in the morning. Then there would be various awards programs that will be concluded in the morning as well, simultaneously, right? And then towards the afternoon session of the last day, we will be presenting the strategic collaborations for 2025 in as far as the Philippine stakeholders are concerned, and in as far as the ASEAN core groups would be concerned, right? Then we will be launching major events in the afternoon. There would be ASEAN initiatives in as far as 2025's ASEAN hosting of Malaysia. So the daughter of the Prime Minister, hopefully, can confirm the invitation and her presence in this particular session. And for the 2026 ASEAN hosting of the Philippines, no less than the First Lady of the country is expected to be present in the session. And then for the Philippine SE Roadmap, of course, we'll be launching the 2025 version of the conference, wherein technology innovations in SE and SSE for the SDGs will be the main theme, right? And there will be surprise attendance of certain creative towards the end of the conference. So something to look forward to. So the conference co-organizers would be us, Bayan Family of Foundations, the Quezon City government in the local government unit here in the Philippines, All-Party Parliamentary Group Malaysia, Asian Solidarity Economy, Society for the Advancement of Professional Social Entrepreneurship, and Asia Value Advisors. So that's what I can discuss with the time constraint that I was provided, but I hope that I was able to generate some semblance of interest from the group, and hopefully we can all see you here in the Philippines come November. Thank you very much.
Right. Thank you, Professor Carlo. You really show us how much effort you're putting into advancing this cause for Philippines as well as for ASEAN. And we really look forward to the success of your conference. And I'm sure all the other ASEAN countries are also making efforts to advance this SSE, SDGs, and so forth. And we shall all meet there in the ASEAN meeting next year. And now I would like to thank all the speakers, and we will now open the floor to all participants. Kindly let us know your name and affiliation before asking your question or making your comments. Anyone? If not, we will start with Mr. Victor Karunan, if you would like to give some comments on the presentations made so far.
Yeah, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. Thank you. Thanks to Akanut, Kun Punsap, and Dr. Ben, Carlo as well, for today's presentation. It opened up a completely new area of discussion for us on the SDGs. And I'm glad that we are trying to connect these global goals and targets with what is happening on the ground. Like Akanut said, it's two sides of the coin. Goals on one side and processes and work on the ground at the grassroots level. So that's the significance of our discussion today. I had just 2 or 3 comments to make while thanking the presenters. The first is that we face a big challenge with the informal sector in general. Yeah, I think Ben already alluded to that. The informal sector in any field, whether it is economy or the social sector, is not counted. There's no data available. Many of them are not registered, so therefore they don't have any legal identity, operate on a small scale, very much at the local level, but not recognized at the national and the global level. Yeah. So those are some of the big challenges that we face. The second is we are confronting globalization and the dominant economic and neoliberal capitalist paradigm, which has the power, which has the money, and the influence with governments in terms of determining the direction and the course of our economies. Yeah. And therefore, the question, again, going back to Dr. Ben's presentation, as to, and I think Poon Sap also raised that when she asked the question, how far do our governments support our SSE initiatives? What should be our demands? What should be our asks with government in terms of supporting this informal sector of SSEs, which is exist in nearly all countries of ASEAN, as well as in other countries of the global south. And there are millions of people who are earning a livelihood from these SSEs. Yeah. And I think we owe an accountability to them as academics, as civil society, as international organizations, that we become their voices. We speak on their behalf to governments. And this platform, the conference coming up in Malaysia next year, the conference coming up in the Philippines in November are the opportunities for us to do that. You know? My third comment is we also have to look at what can we advocate for. We want to advocate with governments for, firstly, legal identity for the SSE enterprises. You know, some type of recognition. Many countries like Philippines, Carlo mentioned, but also here in Thailand and many other countries, there is no legal framework that governs the informal sector of workers, labor, as well as social enterprises. Some countries are beginning to think about that, but then the big problem is how do you regulate them without actually registering these organizations and enterprises? So that's one big challenge. The second thing we should be asking governments is, how can we mobilize public-private partnerships, especially the corporate sector, to be able to support these SSE initiatives? And Akanut gave some excellent examples of what's going on here in Thailand with the platform enterprises. Same thing's happening with blockchain. You know the concept of blockchain, yeah? Blockchain, you give ownership to the members of the blockchain, not to the banks. The money that is circulating in blockchain platforms, each one is an owner, each one is an investor. And that's the power we need to give to social enterprises. You know? The third point is we also need to look at, besides laws and policies, besides financial and technical support from private sector to the SSEs, we also need to look at how we can improve the quality, the governance and accountability of SSEs. That's also important. We need some minimum standards. We need some basic guiding ethical and moral rules by which these platforms and social enterprises operate. You know, because some of them are family businesses. They are run very informally within a family or a small community level. They don't have proper accounting systems, proper management, proper HR rules, and so on And those are the standards that some cooperatives have developed that, some big enterprises have developed that, and we should be able to share that with the other smaller informal sector of SSCs that are developing the country, so that we have a good foundation of quality guaranteed, sustainable and accountable SSC initiatives, which then gives us the basis to strongly advocate with governments for reform and for support. So thanks again to all the presenters. Those are a few comments, and I hope we can continue discussing around these key points as we move forward. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Dr. Victor Karonon. I think those are very important points to bear in mind as we move forward. Do we have any questions from the floor?
Dr. Lim, may I
Respond.
respond to
Yes, please, Dr. Ben.
on 2 points? Yeah. For example, the point of how are we going to mobilize funding for this sector, because many of the actors there are very small. I am reminded always when this question arises of the initiatives of the likes of the founders of Google, Zuckerberg, and the founder of Microsoft. They started small, but they have big ideas. Yeah? I think what we need in this movement are people with big ideas. For example, we're thinking of putting up an ASEAN fund for social enterprise. How do we do that? This morning, I was talking, to the institutions, microfinance institutions, social finance institutions that are involved in developing the social enterprise financing platform for the Philippines. And I was telling them, if you are going to talk to international investors, impact investors, and you present to them a project worth $100,000, they will not take a second look at it because they are moving big funds. For example, the organizations that are managing pension funds, the smallest project they would like to finance is $100 million. In other words, if you want to attract this kind of investors into your initiative, you've got to present to them a project that is able to attract this kind of funds. So we are missing a lot in Sapon in the Philippines because we always like to talk about small things. Small is beautiful, but in order to compete with the neoliberal market economy, you have to think big. So this is why I was telling them, let's pull our information together. What is the size of the social enterprise market in the Philippines? How much do they need? And then we begin to discuss with them. And we're going to be social impact investors who will be participating in November conference. So that's one point, that we would like to present this idea to the ASEAN summit. If, for example, we can convince Malaysia and the Philippines to start, thinking about this, and they will start in their own countries setting up that fund, then by the time we're able to rotate, the chairmanship of ASEAN, perhaps we can convince 3 or 4 countries to initiate this, and this will start, the ball rolling. So we have to think big. That's one thing that we need to, tackle. And already, people like Carlo and all these Bayan Family Foundations, they're moving, even without government support. And so these are the things that we need to do. We need to be entrepreneurs. We have to be entrepreneurial in the approach. The second is, how are we going to attract government support? That's why, we're trying, to make use of the ASEAN Summit to put social enterprise SSC into the agenda of discussion. Because there is a big need right now of member governments to accelerate progress towards SDGs. And in the Philippines, in ASEAN, you will note that most of the ASEAN countries, or not all, already have over 50%. But when when you go into 80% and above, there is a sort, of constraint there, because of the funding factor. And so we would like to present this case to the governments. And in fact, the Malaysian event in 2025 and then the Philippine ASEAN in 2026 would like to make use of that, to argue the case for government funding for this initiative. Because even in the Philippines, we have observed that small projects, like Book for Children, they're asking 120 million pesos. I mean, what is more substantive compared to, for example, the development of social enterprises in the Philippines? So this is an argument that we can put forward to the government. So to me, it's important for us to realize the challenges, and I really appreciate, the perspective of Dr. Victor in this conference and this meeting. But I think what we need to do is to think of solutions. We can, devote a lot of time discussing our problems, but the key is what solution can we bring forward and put into the conference to discuss. So these things to me, I am very much positive and encouraged, that we are having this discussion together, and thankful that big minds like Dr. Victor is with us, Dr. Lin is with us, Zoel of my SDGs. These are the movers, that we need in this movement, so that we can really convince governments and private sector to partner with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ben. There's a lot of thinking and effort going into that on how we can expand this movement. We only have 7 minutes left. I can see 4 hands. Can you make your questions very concise so that we can cover for all 4 of you, Mr. Anwar, Mr. Panir, Mr. Michael, and Mr. Rajan, and also Ms. Punsa. Yeah, shall we start? We will gather all your questions before our speakers respond. Mr. Anwar?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, thank you. I support Ben Quinones' proposal to create a fund, like a ASEAN fund for SMEs or even a Philippine fund for SMEs, because the funds generated by even government banks still do not go to SMEs. Like last year, even in local, about 5 oligarchs got billions, like Aboitiz Power alone got 20 billion from a government bank like Land Bank. So, and the oligarchs borrow money so they can avoid taxes, because if revenues minus expenses, including debt expense, the taxable income is very low. So they need to keep on borrowing forever because that's the way to dodge taxes. And so, maybe the point is create a fund. So how do we create that fund? I mean, locally, realistically, and to support that, I guess probably integrate it with some. Ben was citing about how to get government support. Perhaps the government support can be, let's say, fund like an army of project managers, professionals, to help run the businesses of the poor, the SMEs, so they become more capable. Because what happens is, even a startup, in local financing, you're required 3-year track record, you're financial profitability audited, plus collateral. So it totally disqualifies the poor from really access to funding for financing. And financing is really very important. And of course, how it will be managed. And there are ways how you can make the financing, create closed loop systems where it will guarantee amortization payments, something like that. So there's a lot to be done probably, So later I want to share some stuff with like Ruben probably.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Anwar, for your contribution. Next will be Panir.
Thank you, Dr. Lin. So I think mine is more comment where it is actually timely for ASEC and the PPGM SDG to start the policy discussion going in terms of SSE in Asian level and ASEAN as well, because our ground are intact actually. So if you see our January conference this year, we actually come up with 15 very good case studies which was published earlier. It was from HomeNet, Makta Kanut, as well as Philippines and so on. The book is available. And since our ground is intact, we can now actually foresee a policy level discussion at the ASEAN home countries, starting with next year. Malaysia then goes to Philippines and also Indonesia, then further on. And it's a timely thing, as what Dr. Ben said. We have to think big at the policy level to actually strengthen this collective movement and so on. As I also want to add, we have actually cooperatives, we have social enterprises in all our countries, but are they qualified in terms of SSC rules? I call it guidelines maybe. Okay, do they do mutual aid? Do they do collective development and so on? Which something that we can actually look into in terms of training and so on. So we really into this, so we'll definitely support the movement towards SDG advancements and also SME. Thank you.
Thank you, Panir. Mr. Rajan.
Hi, thank you, Dr. Lin. I have two suggestions to make. One is, based on what Dr. Ben and Victor said, how can we use the digital platform, digital technology in order to mainstream people from the informal sector? I think India is a good example. We have 800 million people using UPI, digital payment platform. It wasn't the case 5 years ago. So how can we promote digital technology in order to mainstream people in the informal sector? The moment you have a digital identity, then you're accountable to the funds that you receive, then compliance comes in, everything. That's number one. Number two is, again, going back to what Dr. Ben said, how can you use digital platform in order to raise funds to finance the enterprises? I think so. We can look at digitalization as part of financial inclusion, both in terms of empowering the informal sector, and also how do we talk about financial inclusion in terms of the social sector, which is serving the marginalized community, and how can we use the technology as a platform to mainstream it? Thank you, Dr.
Thank you, Mr. Rajan. We shall now have Ms. Punsak.
I think Anwar is raised hand before me.
Really?
Okay.
Anwar is this. Okay, Mr. Anwar.
Okay, thank you. I'm Anwar Rastro. I'm from KPRI, Confederation of Indonesian People Movement. This one is umbrella organization whose members are union or people organization, workers, farmer, fishermen, urban, women and indigenous people. Thank you, Kanut, Dr. Ben, and all speaker and commentator. We, KPRI, is focused in the three program, standing up the democracy, also economic solidarity, and social protection. I want to share a little experience in 2020 until 2003. We conducted an analysis about the SDGs, but not in deeply, I think. Certainly, SDGs have many weaknesses, but we are still conducting a trial to using SDG to encourage solidarity economy and transformative social protection to advocacy our program. We create a workshop on SDGs with the 30 CSO in 5 provinces and 10 districts in Indonesia. Our question is, how is CSO control in the local government to implementation of the SDGs program? The condition is still very concerning because the local government is on average do not understand what is SDGs. In the end, and we try to collaboration and include SDG with the local government. We think SDGs can be used to build up people control movement in supporting SSE and TSP, Transformative Social Protection, because the 17 pillar of SDGs can be intervened one by one. But there is this need of understand of the planning and the budgeting. In planning, we can include our program in the SSE and social protection, including of the advocacy of the environment. For example, is how local government support community to the cooperative, also how access to health, access to education, and services and more services. So it seems the important to transform our knowledge about the first SDGs. For example, is regulation and implementation. The second is how we can transform about the SSE, like of the Dr. Ben presented. I think it's important to transform to the grassroots. The third is about the transformative social protection. This one is, I think, is very important workshop and meeting, and how we can transform to the grassroots our knowledge now. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Anwar, for your perspective from Indonesia. I think we will now go back to the speakers for their the last round of response to all these comments and questions. And Ms. Punsap will be part of the speakers' response. Thank you so much. So I would now like to invite the speakers to respond to these points which have been raised by our participants. This and also your last words regarding, how we should move forward. Shall we start with Mr. Akonat?
Thank you, Dr. Lin, and thank you, everyone. I just have a very short remarks, because I heard people talking a lot about how we get support from governments, how we can raise fund. I think we need to have this kind of session more and more. And I think there are lots of examples elsewhere in the world that can be a very good example of how SSE entities not really relying on the government supports, because the government are not really support us that much. So they will have to rely on themselves. And some of the group are quite strong, getting together, using their own money from small until they become big. I think there are plenty of case studies like that we should learn from them. I give you an example of a group of taxi driver in New York City, where they suffer from Lyft and Uber until they get together and put money together and then hire the developer to help develop their own apps. And it goes quite well. They even promise their members, if they come to work, they don't have passengers, but they will get paid from their own platform, $30 an hour, and that's more than minimum wage. That's living wage. This is an example that I would like to invite you everyone to think beyond the support of the governments and crowdfunding or investor, that kind of thing, because I think we should focus more on how we should support ourselves among us, and then we can think of the government. I don't think that it's going to be easy for us to get support from governments or from the investor. So and there's lots of example that we can explore and learn from them. Yeah.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Bernard, for your perspective. I agree that, well, many investors will just look at the ROI before talking further. So, so that there's a lot of work to be done in that area. I would like to invite Ms. Punsap now for your response.
Thank you, Dr. Lin. I agree with Akanat that we need to help ourselves, but as I am representative of the informal worker or the working poor in Thailand, I can say that we try to help ourselves all the time, but it's not enough. It's not enough. We also pay tax, even though to VAT. No, not the income tax, but every time that we buy things, we pay tax. And this is very important that we need to shape our government. I think ASEAN is very important. We need to shape the ASEAN government. And we need to stand up. We need to have a big voice. And it takes time, you know, to come from this level to that level. And in this environment and in this condition, it's not easy. When I was young, it's easy for the poor to study in the university. But nowadays, it's impossible for the poor without any support to study in the university. So, for my point of view, I think that for ASEC and for ASEAN people, we need to come together. We need to stand. We need to stand up. We need to have a big voice, and we need to shape our society. This is very important, and I have to thanks to my SDGs and the organization in Malaysia to organize this. This is very important. And how can we start to do this? This is, I know it's challenge, I know it's hard work, but we cannot walk alone. We are not work alone and walk alone. We work together and walk together. Then the distance will be shorter. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Punsap. We really need to work together. I'll have Dr. Ben. I'll let Dr. Ben have the last word.
Thank you, Dr. Lin. I have only two major ideas to share. Number one, the idea of pooling resources. First, what I have done in the Philippines is to encourage actors, you know, who are already on the ground to share their information. Only three things. The financial services that they provide, number of clients, and amount of financial funding that they have provided. And the third is the grants for capacity building support. I would like to share this to all of you so that we can begin to collect this information, because information is easier to collect compared to money. Yeah, but information is needed in order for the big guys to see how big is the social solidarity economy market or the SE market. We don't have that data yet. No? So please, and then secondly, if we have this information, which we are gathering in the Philippines for the November, then we can show this in Malaysia during the Kuala Lumpur summit in May 2025, and so on and so forth, until we're able to really provide a body, a body of statistics on these 3 points, because investors would like to know, is there a market, in the social enterprise sector? If we only provide stories, they cannot pinpoint, how much is this, how big is this market? But we know, because we are working at the ground, and we know the massive activities there, but we do not put the figures there, because to us the story is more exciting compared to the statistics. But let's begin this. There are only three information that we will collect. And in the next meeting, we'll put this together and see, how we are going to do this. I would like to encourage KPRI to do this. They are a big organization in Indonesia, also in Thailand and so forth. And we collect this, and then we will report this and include this in the conference in the Philippines in November, and then build it up and present that also in Malaysia. Thank you very much, Dr. Lin.
Thank you, Dr. Ben. We have to come to a close to this webinar, even though I wish we could carry on. I would like to thank our speakers for a very enlightening and useful session, and also our participants for your keen interest on this topic.